One important thing that digital networks bring with them are network externalities. That's something that is very confusing to economists because, let's say, in the industrial age, we were basically driven by the law of scarcity. If I have one car, that's good for me. Now, if another person has a car, the resources, petroleum and the roads, they become a little packed. If I have 3 or 4 cars, scarcity starts to set in. Gas prices start to rise because there are suddenly now many people with a car. In the digital age, it is completely the other way around. There's not a law of scarcity. So when Mr. Bell had the first telephone, it was pretty useless because there was nobody he could call. Then he called Mr. Watson and said famously, "Come here, Mr. Watson." And so they had the first communication channel established. Now, when the third person had the telephone, they could already make 6 phone calls. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, when the fourth person had the telephone, they could already make 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 phone calls. So basically what that says, positive network externalities, means the more people there are, the better it is for everybody. So if I go to a social network where there are many people, that's better for me because we can share more. So this turns this economic law of scarcity upside down. Now it's suddenly better that there are more people. And that's a very important economic characteristic of the digital age. Another one is that digital networks have a natural network structures. Networks is the fabric that society is made of. We are networked animals. We live in social. Well, a social is actually what a network is, right? We live in societies. These are networks of individuals. If you think about your friends, about your colleagues, these are all networks of people. You analyze these networks all the time. For example, if you think about going to the movies and then we should invite her, but if we invite her, we also have to invite him because they are together with him and he's together. We always think in these networks. If you define what your family is, that's basically you define a network structure. Are your cousins part of the family network or not? A company, organization, colleagues, friends, they're all networks. And digital networks have a natural network structure to them. The links in this network are basically hyperlinks. These hyperlinks represent, in a social network, for example, who are your friends. So this is implemented, and that copies social networks quite well. This is actually the internet. It is a network, so that's the picture of the internet. This is a network of my professional contacts, and in LinkedIn, this is part of academia. You can see in this corner, I was working for the United Nations Secretariat for 15 years, especially in Latin America and the Caribbean. And you can see, well, a network structure, and that's how I would organize my colleagues as well. These are United Nations colleagues, these are United Nations colleagues in Latin America and the Caribbean. And so that's my professional network as represented in LinkedIn, and it fits my professional network as I have it in my mind impressively well. The first time I saw that, I thought like, well, yeah, that's what my professional network actually looks like. So digital networks enable that. So these are some of the digital particularities I wanted to mention. There are many more, but let's summarize. So there's this ICT convergence that brings communication, storage, and computation together on the standard of the bit. This changes our perception of time. We have now polytemporal information and communication processes. That means we can have real-time communication or asynchronous communication. We have polydirectional networks from one to many, many to one, many to many, and so forth. We have real-time communication, network externalities, and a natural network structure. So these are some of the particularities of digital interaction that changes the way we are doing things.